I think we're good to go, though. I think we're good to start the build update number, what, 16? Jeez Louise, what a journey it's been. I told you guys yesterday that this next build update was going to feature some pretty serious changes, and it has. Across the board. But this is a sort of big step into my endgame setup, where we were doing a lot of mapping and farming, and the biggest bosses we were fighting were mostly just kind of like map bosses, maybe a couple bosses here and there, like I did like an expedition boss. But now we're actually getting into like fighting some like bigger citadel bosses, fighting some breach bosses, which I'll post some videos of. But I want to show you guys what I was thinking for end game sort of single target damage scaling, and I was thinking I would either go into like a fire ignite kind of thing or go into a bleed kind of thing, and I was leaning towards bleed, and that's what I decided to do. I like the physical damage, I like bleed stuff, and I like the fact that I can continue to have physical damage leached as life as part of my defensive layers. So let's show you what I'm cooking with. Another thing we did is also set up a weapon swap to allow me to do that bleed. So right off the bat, for bossing, I took off crushing impacts in favor of more life. My life has increased a ton. We increased my life by about 2,000, and one of the things we did to do that was get mysterious lineage. We're still rocking with hulking form. I love hulking form. It's like the coolest thing. I don't know if, I mean, no other ascendancy is going to be as good, I think, because of hulking form. Colossal capacity is fun. It gives you a little extra bag. People ask about that all the time. And then we have a chance to cause aftershocks, which are just nice. It also has more AoE, which is cool. This gives you more strength. This gives you a little bit of life regen, which is nice. So coming out of the front, we like stripped all of this out of the build. Like this stuff right here. One of the main things we did was we kind of said armor is one of those things that a lot of people have been saying is not great. And I'm experimenting with that idea where we're not max block capped, which is fine. We have 50% block, and we only really have about 50% armor. So we are not reducing physical damage by all that much anymore. But it may not have been that big of a deal. The way armor works is it reduces small hits by a lot and then big hits by not as much. So the things that are scary to me are not really the small hits in maps. The things that are scary to me are the big blasts that bosses do. And those might one-shot you anyway if you don't get out of it. We learned that the hard way against one of the breach bosses. He just kind of was, I'll show it to you. But he, like, the encounter began and he just went like this, and I was like, what is he doing? Is he standing there? Is this still part of the RP? But he was channeling a big overhead slam that I couldn't see. And the little hand comes down, boosh, blasts you. But it only really shows the hand like 0.5 seconds before it hits you. So we lost our first breach that way. But we came back and killed him. So I'll show that to you guys on the YouTubes. But anyway, you need to dodge the one-shots, and the little mobs aren't that scary. So we're primarily having our defense just be a big health pool right now. And just being kind of tanky with max resists. But we'll keep going. We'll show that to you. But anyway, we're just going up through the top. It doesn't really matter. I guess if I wanted to, we could go through the armor, but nah. We're going up through the top, just going through the strength, just to try to get to the next areas as fast as possible. I'm gonna go through my main tree first, I guess. The main tree is involving two-handed weapon damage with stun buildup and reduced attack speed, but whatever. My second spec, my mapping spec, basically involves the extra AoE stuff too. Come down here for some strength. I might not need this strength now, so I probably could respec this into something else, actually. I do want to have at least beef, but I may not need the second point of strength because I was involving a weapon swap that needed more strength, but now that I don't do that anymore, I can move it. But it's giving me health, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but I will have to consider that. If you're using a big two-handed weapon, you're going to want this anyway. But we go through the strength. One of these strength nodes can go. Don't worry about that right now. I'm just sort of noticing that now. And we're going down into heat proofing. I don't do a lot of armor stuff right now, but we still like having our armor apply to fire damage taken from hits. It's just awfully nice. It's awfully nice. And this is about where things used to end, right? But now we are going into all this travel, and it's actually intelligence, which allows me to wear a new chest piece that I had. A little bit of intelligence, then some more strength, getting our jewel socket. You cannot have a jewel socket be part of a weapon swap like skill tree. So we had to go all the way through here to get just a little bit of things here, mostly just to travel more quickly. But we needed access to this bleed wheel. But anyway, we're going through here to grab all of this, and then we're picking up another jewel socket down here with polymathy Now, polymathy is not something I needed for my weapon, but it is something that I find very useful for my chest piece. Now, I could look into this and see if I would be able to get by without these attributes, but my chest piece requires dexterity and intelligence, of which I have like none before. So we went ahead and got down into polymathy, which eventually could help us equip another two-handed weapon if we get a good one, which would be fine. Having the build here is already useful. That's all we needed for right now. We didn't go for any of the reduced attribute stuff because we just don't need that. But it is nice to have the extra stats, I suppose, and it's because just it helps me put on gear, which is a big gain. A new weapon would be insane, and this chest piece that we have is insane. I guess while we're here, my single target boss fighting spec, this is where some of the bleed comes in, right? So we took this whole bleed wheel, a bunch of chance to inflict bleeding down through the middle, and then a magnitude of bleeding, so just how powerful your bleed is, and then bleed duration, and then 2 different ways to aggravate bleed. Attack hits aggravate any bleeding on the target, which is older than 4 seconds, which is good. We get a little bit of aggravation at the end of the bleed at least. And then a 10% chance to aggravate bleeding on targets you hit with attacks. So this aggravates the bleed at the end of the bleed. If it hasn't aggravated yet, this has a small chance to aggravate during the bleed. Aggravated bleeding just makes it do double damage, basically. So pretty big. Then I have just one little weird bleed node here. Not necessarily a big fan of this, but what I could do is I could unspec out of this strength here. And then we could put more bleed stuff, which would be kind of neat. Kind of cool. Just for more chance to bleed. Then we also have chance to bleed here into a... Well, they also are empowering or making more damage on empowered attacks or increased damage. Those are different, by the way. But another chance to aggravate when you hit with empowered attacks, which is pretty cool. So that helps with our big one-shot combo burst. So extra bleed here. And then I guess this almost just finishes off our bleed stuff, so I may as well talk about it here. We pop over here to grab reduced attack damage and increased attack damage and reduced attack speed for a couple nodes. But then you get ailments, right? So magnitude of ailments, so it's more bleed. And then you also have magnitude of ailments and duration. So I want more duration on my bleed so that you can get that guaranteed aggravate if you hit the enemy once the bleed's been on them for a little while. Because that's going to make that thing really hurt. Now we have 2 little break-offs here. We grab this stuff for the increased damage on empowered attacks, where Warcry's empowered additional attack, which is awesome. Grab another jewel socket. I do really like the Aftershock stuff, so we have more Aftershock here. This is another 22% chance to Aftershock, plus the 20% here, which means that all the slams I do have like a 40% chance to Aftershock, which is cool. And it also makes my Stampede have like a 95% chance to Aftershock, right? Something like that. Anyway, or is it, what is it? 90 something, yeah. 97% chance to Aftershock, I think, which is insane. Now we have all the strength and reduced mana. We don't even have mana, so we don't care. And then we get damage per strength, which is cool, especially because we are stacking quite a bit of it. 2, make use of Giant's Blood. You can equip 2-handed maces and axes and swords when they come in one hand, so you can either dual wield them or use them with a shield, which is what I'm doing. But it does triple the attribute requirements of weapons, so you need a lot of strength to hold those maces. Then we also go into all the max res being a huge element of our defenses, right? This also gives you 2% maximum fire res for each 40 uncapped fire res. That just means the total res that you have. So we have 121 resistance, so we're getting plus 6 max fire res, which is awesome. So all my resists are like 85%, which is really nice. That's a big deal. Max resist is an excellent layer of defense. Again, my layers of defense now are like a little bit of block, a little bit of armor, but big max res and big HP. So that's kind of what we're doing right now for my defense. Another little jewel socket. To talk about what's in my jewel sockets. Jewel sockets for me are like block chance and bleed is the main thing. Block chance and bleed. Pretty dang nice. This one's kind of cool, right? Block chance, bleed, bleeding duration. So I want block chance and bleed in the reds. I want maximum cold resistance in the blues, and then damage taken recouped as life is cool, and increased AoE is cool. They are kind of like caster jewels, so you have some other stuff that's I don't really want on there, but max cold res and recoup and increased AoE are great on those. If you were going to get green gems for lightning resist, I like attack speed, and like, I don't know, there's other cool stuff too, but max lightning res and attack speed and maybe accuracy if you need it. Another blue jewel. Another red jewel. Red jewels also have, at least one of these needs to have like rage on melee hit. And I think I only have one right now. But 1 rage on melee hit, and then 2 rage when hit by an enemy. It would be fine if it was like block, bleed, and 1 rage on melee hit would be fine. But these are kind of my old jewels. But I want block on there. I have anointed for Titanic on my necklace. Gives me stun buildup, stun threshold, and strength. And another blue jewel for more cold res. And now for my my sort of mapping AoE build, right? We have this stuff. We have this is where all the AoE comes in. Increased AoE and AoE damage. Aftershock AoE. AoE once you've stunned an enemy, and then you have all this stuff, just increased AoE into more AoE if you stun recently, and just more area effect for attacks. And then stun buildup and area of attack damage is nice, just because it's like right here. It's really good to have that. Now this area right here is pretty neat. This is where we use our Against the Darkness Time Loss Diamond, where we get 1% increased max life for all of these little nodes, which is a lot of them, right? And then you also get +1 maximum lightning resistance for all these notables, right? Which we have a couple of those too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So kind of a lot. Pretty nice. And then we have a bunch of max life too from these little nodes. And I could even put more max life here if I wanted to. And I might at some point. We will see. We do have a lot of life at the moment, but more life is good. We're also using Blood Magic, where it removes all my mana, and skill mana costs are converted to life costs. But what I'm getting out of all this is these are all 3 of the max reses to get there, and then in the middle you have all res and +1 max res. And then you have more of this. This node is rage on hit, and then you also get armor is granting you, rage is granting you 1% increased armor. This one over here is armor when you get hit recently, and then attack speed when you get hit recently, which is pretty cool. And this one is just like generic damage, but it gives you, 4% or 3% life plus Ellie res. And this one is AoE on the top with AoE if you've killed recently. AoE just damage in general. And then I even take this one for the close range damage, which is kind of nice. Again, like if I wanted to, I could take out this strength and put it in here if I just wanted more of that. But I'm going to figure out what I want to do with this strength, because I can take 1 node off. I still think you want beef, but we could take 1 node off if we wanted to. But it's probably fine the way it is anyway. But more damage, something else would probably be pretty worthwhile. I'll think about that. It's kind of always fun to have points to play around with. But that's what I'm doing with my talent tree right now. That's where we're at. And what I'm planning to do next is just figure out where little 1-point wonders can go. We could even, if we could find 3 points, we could go back to Skull Crusher, which would be kind of fun. But we'll see. We'll see. We got options. Even and then 3 points here would also be fun for my other spec. This is just so much. It's reduced attack speed, but it's just so much stun build up and attack damage. It's crazy. Crazy. But okay. That's what we're doing with that. Now my skills have changed a little bit too. I went ahead and bought a bunch of perfect jeweler orbs to make my big 3 attacks that much better. I don't use Stampede against bosses, but that's okay. So Mace Strike, I mean, I need to just even find things to put into Mace Strike right now. I don't really use this, but when I do use it, if it stuns enemies and leeches from them and culls them, that's fine. I can find some other gems in there that might do something, but I don't really use it that much. Punch, I definitely don't use Punch. This is a gem holder. So for Seismic Cry, I have Seismic Cry being, that's the shout that when you Seismic Cry in a stunned enemy, it gives you guaranteed Aftershocks, just 6, so I have that giving me Rage, because I really only ever use this on like strong enemies. But you can also, it doesn't go on cooldown until you use it on a stunned enemy. So you can use that to inflict daze on like big mobs, so you can stun them more easily. I also have it costing less. Infernal Cry, I pretty much use this to just do more damage. So that's what it does. I use it to empower my skills to do more damage, and then I also make it consume rage to make those empowered skills do more damage, and I have it on a shorter cooldown, because I like to use this one frequently. It's pretty cool. 6k health, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you how do you do that, I'll show you. Leap Slam, I have it giving me a heal over time effect. Consecrated Ground is like 5% of your max life per second, so that's kind of a lot. I have it giving me Rage right now. You could use something else here, like Stun or whatever, but Rage is fine. I have it being a faster attack, so that like if you're in an AoE and you need to get out of it, you can kind of get out of it a little bit more quickly. And then I have it giving me Momentum. After you're moving at least 2 meters, it does more damage. I don't really use Leap Slam as a damaging skill, but you frequently move more than 2 meters, and so you may as well just go ahead and let it rip, you know? a little bit more damage with it. So now that I'm not using Crushing Blow anymore because I'm using the life thing in my Ascendancy, we can put Bone Shatter back in the build. I also got a new necklace, which made it so I was able to equip the new chest piece, but as a result, I lost Spirit. So I'm not using as many auras, so I can put Bone Shatter back in, which is really cool, actually, because I like Bone Shatter. And now I'm giving Bone Shatter Devastate when skills fully break armor, when they afflict a heavy stun, which is sick. I have it doing the low health thing, so it does way more damage on low health enemies. You can just Bone Shatter things that are low and they'll die, whether they're stunned or not. Close combat, so enemies close to you deal more. You deal more damage to them. It's a melee attack, so frequently the enemies are close to you. This could also be some other sort of damage thing, but this is good for this one. And then Impact Shockwave, so you'll see enemies exploding when you hit them into a big shockwave, which can just wipe entire packs or screens sometimes because we have a lot of AoE. So I like having Bone Shatter back in the build. I'm excited about that. You'll notice that my skills are all unleveled though because they're level 19 again because I don't have the plus skills for my amulet, but I'll show you what happened with my gear. I think it's overall worth though. I love Time of Need. I could use like Scavenge Plating while mapping in Time of Need against bosses, but I like Time of Need. I have that doing the fast forward thing, so it procs its little cleanse and heal effect more frequently. I have it giving me a passive 1% life regen with Vitality, and during maps I have it giving me 4% of life recovered while when we kill an enemy. Against bosses, I'll socket it with Herbalism though. I'll talk about my boss setup in a second versus normal setup. I guess this is my mapping setup here. We'll put Herbalism against bosses. I also use Herald of Ash in maps. We need to get a level 19 skill for this, don't we? This just gives you the sort of the Ignite explosion when you overkill a mob. That's trophy behind me? Yeah, this is from competition, yeah. Exclamation mark comp in the chat, I'll link it for you. You can check it out. Sorry, we're not doing a lot of Q&A right now. I know I'm not reading chat. We're just blasting our build update. But welcome, guys. So for Sunder, Sunder is kind of like a stronger mob killing attack. We have it upheavaling, so it splits into multiple shockwaves, but I think the shockwaves do shotgun. So you can hit enemies with multiple shockwaves, like big bosses get hit with all three of these. So it deals 40% less damage. So, but if you're hitting with 3 shockwaves, right, you're doing 180% damage. So that's kind of how I think about it, right? It's got to be good. It's got to be good. If that's not how it works, then I would probably unsocket this for something else. But I think that's how it works. I'm using this with Rage Forged, so supported skills consume Rage to deal more damage, if possible. I'm giving it less AoE to do more damage, but it still does a lot of AoE, which is nice. Still goes pretty far. Right now, I'm doing Fire Infusion with it. I just don't really have any other good gems to make it do more damage, I don't think, so I'm just chucking Fire Infusion in it for now. And that's fine. But since we put another socket on it, we're using Super Critical, which is pretty cool. I have enough intelligence now, because I had to get intelligence to wear my chest piece, that we can socket more intelligence jewels in, which is pretty cool. Or gems. So this gives it a 100% increased critical damage bonus, but has a 20% less critical hit chance. Sunder has a guaranteed crit against enemies with fully broken armor, and it already has a 100% increased critical damage bonus. So this is just pretty much free gains, right? It's gonna do a, what, 200% increased critical damage hit, and I would imagine, I mean, I think that scales, right? Hope so. But there is no like drawback, because it always will crit no matter what. And then I have it just doing fire damage, which is fine. As long as the crit damage isn't set, I mean, which wouldn't make any sense. So anyway, that should be sick with Sunder against fully armor broken targets. So Hammer the Gods, I have that with just as much damage as I can get on it, basically. Have it doing Heavy Swing. I have it doing Heft for more physical damage. I have it doing Brutality for more physical damage. No elemental damage, that's fine. We have it having a 50% chance to bleed on its own, but then when we swap into our boss killing set, it has a 106% chance to bleed, so it always bleeds. So you're hitting an enemy with a gigantic attack, and then it procs a gigantic bleed, which is awesome. And then for maps, I have it just with Fist of War for a little bit more AoE and more damage when it lands. And then for Stampede, we are doing Aftershocks, which gives it, again, like I said, like a 97% chance to Aftershock. It'll like always Aftershock, basically. Maybe every once in a while it won't. But that's troll. So just blasting mobs with this. And you are splintering their armor this time, so instead of using the Devastate to stun them and break their armor, we are breaking their armor just off of doing damage, but it still works. You're doing damage, you're breaking their armor equal to 15% of the damage dealt by the supported skill. And then when you do break their armor, it does like an explosion, which is a great AoE in combination with how much AoE this does already. We're giving it more AoE, by the way, and we're also, with our 6th slot, making it give us a 20% chance to get an endurance charge when supported skills fully break enemy armor. So, when we're stampeding around the map, we are breaking armor and having a 20% chance to give an endurance charge. And endurance charges, all they do, really, is give us more uses of our empowered skills when we Warcry. But that's great. If I get 3 endurance charges and I Warcry, I have 5 of my next attacks are buffed by Infernal Cry. So I don't need to worry about like reduction of cooldown on Infernal Cry all that much. I do against bosses, so I still have it in there. But I mean, in a map, you're just running around exploding everything once you get rolling, which is crazy, right? So you get your rage juiced up, you get your endurance charges juiced up, use Infernal Cry, and you're just blasting for the next 5 stampedes, which is amazing. Now, I want to mention, that is my mapping setup. Because we are doing some big bosses, I do switch some things out for bosses. And let me show you how that works. So I showed you the 2 specs that I use, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do against bosses is you can have multiple weapon setups where you use a whole different weapon and shield for bosses, or I could use 2 two-handers against bosses if I wanted to die. But what I do right now is I'm just going to click my weapon, I'm going to switch my weapons, I'm going to plop my weapon in the second weapon skill set, and we're just going to chill right here. We're just going to chill. We can make Stampede usable in both weapon sets, by the way, but it's not going to be like that anyway, because we don't use Stampede as a second weapon set. So for bossing, now, my talent tree is going to be giving me all that bleed stuff, right? So Hammer of the Gods is going to be a 106% chance to bleed. The bleed magnitude is going to be big, and we're ready to fight a boss on our second set. And that's chill. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to move Herald of Ash out for Overwhelming Presence. We're going to move Cannibalism out for Herbalism. And I'm going to move Stampede out for Earthshatter. Now, I don't really use Stampede against bosses, but I'm not even really going to use Earthshatter against bosses. What I'm going to do with Earthshatter is I'm just going to chuck Font of Rage, which is the main reason to even have this. And I'll probably put other stuff in there too, just for fun. We're going to move Splinter into Hammer of the Gods instead of Fist of War. We can put Fist of War and Earthshatter. And then I'm going to probably just go ahead and chuck Magnified Effect into Earthshatter as well. And the reason why I'm doing that, I could use Break Endurance, but a 20% chance to get an endurance charge, I don't know if it's really worth it. You could put that on like Bone Shatter maybe against bosses. I don't think I'm going to do it, but you could. Or you could put like Armor Explosion just to make it do a little bit more damage against bosses, right? You could just chuck that in there. I don't know if I'm going to do that right now, but those are the things you could do. You could put either Armor Explosion for Bone Shatter against bosses or Break Endurance in there against bosses. And maybe if I had a 6-slot Bone Shatter, I would just put both of them in there and call it good. Because I think what happens is the explosion does like 100% of the physical of the damage into fire. So I think if it's the damage of the attack, then you probably should put this in there because it's just going to do like double damage against the boss, I think. But anyway, we'll move this here because of that. This is the setup that I would use against bosses. And then the reason why I'm using Earthshatter at all is because you sit here, and while the boss is doing its big RP, you have a couple seconds to build rage. And then you also have like a little puddle, a little pile of rocks. So as soon as the boss does spawn, you blow up the rocks. And then it'll do like a nice chunk of damage and probably stun them a little bit. And then you just go about fighting them normally, right? But you can like chuck down this little guy to start getting rage. And then you maybe start the fight with like 10 rage or whatever, right? You blow him up, it does damage to the boss. You're kind of ready to go, right? I think for my second weapon set, I should probably make a whole different setup though, huh? Oh, that's... I wonder. Hold on. Is it going to use my other Mace Strike just for set 2? No, surely not, right? I don't know why it's acting like Leap Slam can't be used. Skill can't be used? I don't think that's right. Skill can't be used? I don't think that's right either. I think you're confused. Why is it acting like Leap Slam can't be used? Maybe it's because I didn't have a weapon equipped at the time? This is interesting. anyway, let's not get too sidetracked. I will figure out what the heck's going. Oh, I think I know why. It's because it's saying only. Okay, there we go. I was like, what the heck? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, all my skills need to be used on either setup now, by the way. Okay, we're chilling. That's why. So, that looks good. But that's why I have Earth Shatter. It's not gonna be something I actually really use in the fight. It's just something I use to get rage in the beginning. Then you detonate that bad boy, and then you're just going off to sundering and doing everything else you would normally do in the fight. Okay? That's kind of what I'm doing, at least. But for mapping and stuff, we're doing that. But also, to mention it, something I learned from that Breach boss is go ahead and do your Meteor first. So the way I was fighting a lot of bosses last night is I was kind of like fighting him a little bit, and I was like getting them stunned, and then I would do my big hammer one-shot combo. Why my armor has 5 sockets? I'll show you. There's no pay to win in this. I'm just gonna do a quick Q&A. There's no pay to win. We have 0 mana because of blood magic. That right there. Very cool. Got that. Very cool. Okay. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop down my little guys. Boss spawns. We're gonna hit him with this, and then we'll maybe sunder him. Or, well, if we can, we'll Bone Shatter him, get him stunned. Once he's stunned, Infernal, Seismic, and just, what I probably should do is, that was my old style. What I probably should do, though, is as soon as he spawns, we should hit him with one of these, and then Infernal, and then just hammer him immediately. Because my hammer now is going to break armor and apply a big bleed, which is pretty sick. So instead of that, we just do this. Plop down this thing. Just keep doing this forever. He finishes his RP. Boom, boom, boom. And then hopefully this will stun him. Then we can Seismic and just start sundering the heck out of him and trying to get the bleed to aggravate and just do ridiculous damage with Sunder. That's my new rotation. So the rotation you're gonna see me doing against the boss is not what I was doing before. But this'll be good. I think that'll work better. So again, Earth Shatters, he spawns, Seismic to detonate it, Infernal, drop the hammer on him, probably maybe try to do a Sunder while it's falling, and then he gets stunned, hopefully, Seismic, and then, not like that, Seismic, and then just start sundering again, is the idea. I mean, I guess you could plop down like one little totem during the fight, right? So it's not a totem, but it's an Earth Shatter. You can do this with totems too, by the way. I just don't really... totems can be killed. Earth Shatter thingies can't actually be killed. And it's a slam, so I'm benefiting from slam stuff that way too. But yeah, that's the idea. And I'll keep practicing that too. We're gonna be practicing that against bosses today. Boosh. Hit him with one of these. Doo! He gets stunned. Seismic. And then just keep on blasting. Infernals when you can. Just keep on blasting. But, you know, when you're running around, you can, like, just plop one of these little rascals down, you know? Keep the rage gains going. You can still detonate it, too. Not the worst thing in the world. But anyway, that's the bossing setup. You guys are asking a lot of questions about my gear. Let me just, don't worry about that sale real quick. My gear is another thing that's changed a lot, too. Pretty insane, huh? So, weapon. This is the wep. Again, we talk about the same things every time in these updates. But for the weapon, I want... percent fizz, flat fizz, attack speed. Past that, weapon skills would be cool. Strength would be okay, especially if it's like the next tier up. And then I like life leech personally. I do. I don't really need the accuracy that bad. But its accuracy is fine for right now, because I am not using resolute technique. So we want percent fizz, flat fizz, attack speed. It would be great if this thing had plus melee skills on it. I like life leech personally. That's cool. And then we've got a helmet with life, res, armor, strength, a little bit of rarity on there is cool too. Always want to get the resistances capped, then life, and then the armor is fine. We don't really, I mean, I don't want to have no armor, but yeah. Right, the dream for prefixes is percent fizz, flat fizz, and then the added accuracy fizz hybrid, correct? Yep. So, the big thing is the chest that has changed, right? We got one of these guys, the Morior Invictus, where it gives you just armor, evasion, energy shield, But here's the big thing, is it gives you a certain percent of increased global defenses per socketed rune or soul core, and 5% increased maximum life per socketed rune or soul core. And then it gets corruptified to potentially even have another socket like this one. And then what we did is socketed it with just 10% increased maximum life. So this one item is giving me 35% increased maximum life, which is crazy. We did need a little bit of Dex and Intelligence to equip it, so we had to put a little bit of Intelligence nodes on the tree, and Polymath helped with that too, to get our Dexterity going, so that's super nice. Let me actually do this, by the way, before I forget. Plop this back in my main set here. That's insane. We got this for 2 divines. Shout out to chat for even like telling me about it and then helping us get it going the right way. But that's juicy. That's one of the reasons why we now have 6.7k health and 250 energy shield too. In order to put that on though, we needed to find a way to fix my resist. So we quickly, very luckily, were able to find this amulet on the trade website. Gave me life and strength, and then cold and chaos res are what we needed. My cold res is not LE weakness capped, but at least it's capped. That's cool. It also comes with rarity and accuracy, which are like not useless, so that's pretty cool. But it had life strength and the resist I need, so we picked that up, and I was lucky that it was available at the time. My shield is giving me big block, a little bit of armor, a good amount of life, and then triple res. Fire, cold, lightning. It would be nice to get some like additional physical damage reduction on this shield. I could maybe trade fire resistance for additional physical damage reduction. Would be pretty cool on this shield. But the block is great. I have it socketed with life because I didn't really find like when I had this shield, when I first got it, 100 armor didn't really make any difference on my actual percentage. So I was like, yeah, whatever. All good. So we have this ring right here is life resists with strength, like everything I want, life resists and strength. But we actually have it qualitied with fire so that I could get like 2% more fire resistance on it, so that my fire res would be 85 instead of 83 because of that talent that we have that gives you max res based off of your uncapped fire, and I had 118, and so I needed 2% more. So I think it's worth it. It would have been nice to quality life on it, but that's how we're doing it right now. We qualityed life on this, by the way, because it was implicit life and it had life roll on it, so no brainer. This one is giving me life, 1 resist, which is fine, but also stats. I needed strength, and it also gives me some dex, which I didn't really need that bad, but I do now. I actually did need it. I just didn't need it when I first got the ring. I didn't need it for a long time, but now it came in handy. So we qualityed life on that bad boy. For my gloves, we've got max life, attack, speed, strength, and chaos res with armor. You can get plus melee skills on gloves. So if for some reason we didn't mind dropping like strength or attack speed for it, we could. Chaos res is pretty important, and I think I need it on my glove slot right now. So, but that's another thing you can look out for on gloves. You can get max melee skills on weapons, gloves, and necklace. So I have none of them at all, but that's one way to crank your damage up by quite a bit is plus melee skills. I think my belt actually has some room for upgrading. It's nice, but the fact that it has thorns damage on there, not that good. The life is cool. The increased life flask recovery rate is cool. The strength is cool, and the fire resistance and lightning resistance are essential. So that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. The thing is, I could drop fire res, but I don't want to drop too much fire res. Like I could probably drop fire res off of like this ring maybe to give me like a leech or something, which would be nice. Because then I don't have to have leech my weapon, and I can do other things with the weapon, like weapon skills or melee skills. But it's a good belt. And then my boots definitely can be upgraded. They are good boots, but they have mana on them, and they only have 25% increased movement speed. So we want like 35% increased movement speed. And life is cool, strength is good, the resists are great. So it's kind of hard to replace these boots, but there is room for improvement there. I frequently am wearing a rarity little charm, but sometimes I'll put a freeze charm on, like against Gianor in Iron Citadel, I put that on. And for my flask, I'm usually using a 25% of recovery applied instantly with a chance to gain a charge when you kill an enemy. But I think it's also nice to have that, like, gain a charge every, 0.15 seconds or whatever. Or, sorry, it's actually the other way around. It's gain 0.15 of a charge every second is what it is. That's nice. That's nice. Getting 1 charge every 0.15 seconds would be super OP. That'd be nice. But that's what I'm rocking with my gear at the moment. And again, for my weapon swap, all I'm doing is I just set it up where when I'm mapping, I'll be in weapon set 1, when I'm doing a boss, I'll go to weapon set 2. Really as simple as that. I think that will feel good. That will be easy. And I changed my stuff up so that I can do it that way, which feels good. In terms of my Atlas, this is what I'm doing still. We have pack size and rare monsters. We have pack size and magic monsters. We have map drops with some rarity and coming down into more chance to be a higher tier. That's the main thing. I actually start here with chance to be a higher tier is what I'd recommend when you first get to maps. I'm still hoping against hope that I can get more of these perfect jeweler's orbs, even though I bought 3 of them. I got tired of waiting, so I just bought 3 of them and put them in my big skills. But I could make use of more, that'd be fine. So getting more of those would be good, and they sell really well too. More quantity of precursor tablets, so you always have plenty of those. And then just chuck 1 point into essences, that'd be nice too. I do like this little area down here of increased quantity of waystones found in your map, so I think my waystone sustain is okay right now. We did kill the breach boss 1 time. We didn't kill him 2 times. We kill him 1 time. When we kill him next time, we'll also go for the density. And then I think that we like this one too. This is recommended and it looks good. More breaches that are super dense. Sounds awesome. I don't know if we're gonna go for the Soul Eater. We might pick something else. Might do this one too. Grasping Hands. They have magic monsters, that giga dense, and additional breach probably be the way that I would spend those, just to keep them relatively safe. We did kill the expedition boss again, so we have +2 logbook difficulty with more artifacts dropped and more coinage dropped, which is great. In terms of my map boss tree, we are going for rarity rather than quantity. I think that's okay. And then we have selected to have an essence in the map boss area, and when I get this next one, we're gonna go for a chance to contain a corruption thing. I haven't looked at this. This would be kind of interesting. We haven't fought the Arbiter yet, but maybe we will eventually. And we haven't fought any of this yet, and we haven't done this yet. So that's where we're at right now. But overall, so far, so good. So far, so good. Really enjoying this build a lot, and we have a lot of room to make gains. Haven't tested out like every single boss, but what we fought so far with the build that we had set up for bosses has felt good. Now we have like a whole lot more life too, which is pretty good. I can maybe I need to take a second and switch back into my my actual mapping setup. It does take a little bit of fuss to set up my stuff, but I think it's worth, right? I think it's worth to do all this stuff for bossing and whatnot. Probably not like a huge big deal, but it is kind of nice, I think. Let's splinter there. There we go. That'll be good. And then we didn't really do anything else, did we? We need cannibalism in time of need instead of that, and we need this instead of that. We don't need Font of Rage, this totem right now. Okay, cool. What's this one? Extra lightning? Alright, fine. Yeah, that's fine. Alright. We don't have to corrupt that one. We'll just go run it. Let's see, do we have a boss somewhere that we could do quickly? Yeah, let's go to the seepage. We'll show you guys the seepage. See how it goes. See how it goes. Hold on. I'm not checking everything that you guys are saying. I'm not sure if you're asking about my amulet. Yeah, surrender shield would be cool. My amulet's anointed with Titanic. Surrender would be cool. It's just it would make my resist situation weird. All right, so first map of the day, boys. Let's see how it goes. But my armor break is still going just fine with splinter instead of the stun thing. So that has felt pretty good. What we can do is we can attempt to do all that that swapping stuff for the boss when we fight him. But a lot of the map stuff is just get as much AoE as we can, while still not doing like too little damage. I am not really making use of Bone Shatter at all right now, which is okay. Mobs just dying is not really a problem, but we do like that though, right? Yeah, sorry, I'm like behind on chat because we're doing our little video too.
I need more time.
Right? You got armor broken. Goodoosh. Hey, we can bone shot at that guy. So whenever you find an essence, you just wind up that hammer, drop the hammer on him. GG. Yeah, the mapping in this build is really fun. I mean, it's a lot of stampeding around, but it ends up feeling pretty good, especially with the guaranteed aftershocks. And Splinter is fine at this point for what I'm doing, but I think for leveling, when you're mostly just trying to clear content and you're not like doing like really crazy boss fights, I think that the crushing blow setup is actually pretty nice. Because Splinter requires that you actually deal damage, right? And so if you're not really dealing damage yet, well, he's armored and stun resistant for sure, huh? JK. He's not stun resistant, but he was not getting hit too hard by my little basic attack at least. I might want to put that stun thing back in the basic attack if it's not in there. I don't know where it went, but overpower if it's not in my basic attack could be for sure. It's nice though. Didn't know if I showed up. Yeah, I went over it when we were looking at talents. I know it's tricky with the build like update videos. One of the things I wanted to mention is that people ask about it a lot is I will eventually want to do a written guide. I'm just changing things so frequently that I haven't really wanted to do a written guide yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. But that one of the advantages of the written guide is you can just sort of see it all instantly. Okay, so here's the boss. Then we want to let's do the boss last, so I don't have to switch to all my. Now here's the thing: I probably don't need to switch any of my stuff for the boss. I think we would be 100% just fine just walking in there and killing him, but just to make sure that we kind of test out everything that I want to test out personally for myself and show you the different sort of setups. Let's just clear the map real quick and then go fight the guy in a second, right? Just blast. But you guys talking about the chess piece or whatever? Going for some all res instead of the life. Yeah, you could. Maybe we'll try that out eventually, because that would give you some more suffixes to work with. Yeah. Talk about the surrender shield. Yeah. We have options. Thankfully, this chess piece is really cool and really dang good, but it wasn't really that expensive, huh? All things considered, yeah. Are we talking about the rarity one? Yeah. We will see. We will see. We'll fiddle and piddle with all kinds of different gear options as we go, I'm sure. Because I am intending to play this character for a while longer. I don't really feel like I want to do anything else. What are these guys doing to me? Kind of hurt a little bit. I don't think that was an armor issue. So when things are killing me, if it's not armor, then it's fine. Because it's like, okay, it's not like we reduced our armor, so now we're dying because we reduced our armor. If there's other things that are happening to me, that's just, that would have happened anyway. Basically, so how do you have as much HP? Just rewind that VOD, bro. I have basically it's life on all my gear combined with max life from a jewel and max life from my chest piece. So max life on gear, ascendancy, jewel, chest, basically, and that all stacks up. And the cool thing is we can get even more. We can get even more max life as we add like just better max life rolls to my items. Be pretty cool, huh? We can make even more gains. We can become even more powerful. And I intend to. So we'll see how it goes, right? Your Aftershock Stampede's like 100, you're stuck at 25. Okay, quality, and it'll immediately have a 30% higher chance to Aftershock. Right? So if you put the gem in it and you quality it, it's 55% just off of that. Right? And then you can get the 20% from your Ascendancy. And then the what is it, 22% from your talent tree. Then all of a sudden, you're looking at a 97% chance to Aftershock. Boom. The colorful drops are from a loot filter. You can get one really quickly and easily from... what the heck? Oh, this thing got switched back up. I see. I was like, why is my, yeah, oh, my weapon coming off? I'm glad we saw that now. Now, is it gonna make Mace Strike, like, not on both talent trees? Does it think that one Mace Strike, it's the same weapon, but if it thinks it's different trees, that's gonna be kind of annoying instead. Still learning the ins and outs of how all the weapon swap stuff works. There's exploding corpses and stuff? Get out of here. Get out of here, you. Alright, let's do our expedition, then we'll go kill the boss. Weapon's gonna look cool. Yeah, it's just a weapon effect. I put the weapon effect on there so that it I could tell when I had one weapon out versus the other a little bit more easily, but now I'm just using only one weapon. That's fine. It's a big Sunder. Alright. There's still 50 monsters remaining, but let's do this real quick, just for fun. Splat. Hey, Rog. Extra fire. No, we're gonna make this one nice and safe. Grab those two though. Nice and safe. More max life. That's chill. And well, let's do this differently. Oh, it's gonna be like that anyway, huh? I see. Do I have to? Yeah.
Hope you unearth some ancient figurines.
Me too, Rog. Alright, that's cool. Light it up. I know that we're kind of still doing our little recording for the video, but hey man, there's loot to be gotten. I got a divine from one of these chests yesterday. So, yeah, we want to run that. We do. Rumbling in, boys. You see how when we get those endurance charges, how I have like just a million charges of my empowered attacks? Isn't that nice?
I've nowhere to keep that.
All right, we'll deal with that later. Been trying not to pick up too much stuff. We still got the juices flowing. That's nice. Okay, so now we'll drop down into this boss situation, and we'll set up our other gear for that. And it will take a second. This is probably not the thing, or the kind of thing I need to do for a map boss most of the time. It's probably really the only kind of thing I need to do for fighting like you know, big bosses like these. I don't know if it's like these count as pinnacle bosses, but like the Citadel bosses, or like these like big mechanic bosses like the Breach guy and Expedition guy, all those guys, right? Might not need to do it for map bosses, but you know what? Some of these map bosses can like kind of turn into demons if you set them up to be crazy. And you know, I mean, these bosses are like a couple of levels higher, so things can get kind of crazy, right? May as well. Second wind support where you can use Hammer of the Gods twice. Yeah, you could. Definitely something to consider if you're trying to have it be like a short fight, right? Where you just Giga Blast. I don't mind it being on a shorter cooldown, but I need to remember to do my strategy, because this is, I haven't really practiced it. The Earth Shatter thing, I have not practiced that strat. So just to be safe, we could always go do it in town real quick. Just chuck this stuff in the dump tab real quick. That one snuck in the old inventory, didn't it? All right, now we'll do what we said we were gonna do, which is a couple things. We're gonna take my weapon. We're gonna pop it in weapon set 2. Okay, that's really troll that it does that. I guess you have to remember to switch your weapon, like your weapon attack, to Mace Strike. I probably should just unbind Mace Strike. I don't really use it ever anyway. And then we are going to maybe just click all this stuff in there so I don't have to deal with it for a second. It is a little bit of fuss, so again, you might not use it all the time, but we will do it for now. So we'll put Overwhelming Presence in there for Herald. We'll put Herbalism in there for Cannibalism. Let's do this so I know which one we're in, right? Put that over there. I'm gonna leave Bone Shatter alone for right now, I think, maybe, but we'll do this. We'll do Stampede comes out in favor of Earth Shatter. I don't think this guy has very long RP, but just to do it anyway, right? Maybe we'll put Armor Explosion in there on Bone Shatter anyway. You know, we could do close combat for this. I don't know. I feel like I'd rather just not even have it on the gem at all. And then Splinter, this is important, that Splinter goes on Hammer the Gods. Okay. Let's see if that works the way I envision it. There we go. Alright, so... walk in. He's gonna do his RP for a second. We'll get this going here. You son of a... Alright, so it's instantly different than I wanted it to be. That's alright. We're gonna stun him here anyway. But I don't have hammers, so we're just gonna have to hit him the good old-fashioned way. I mean, he's probably just dead anyway, right? He's just dead anyway. Alright, that definitely didn't go the way I really wanted it to. Because we missed my hammer on him. But, I mean, like, he died anyway. Like, it was so unnecessary to do all the setup on this boss, but it was still good practice, right? Plopping down our little guys, detonating it, Infernal Cry, hammer. Then, ideally, his armor would get broken, he'd be splintered. I mean, I don't need to wait till the hammer lands to start sundering either. We need to, like, be active. Boonk, boonk, boonk. We had a little bit of rage going into the fight, though, didn't we? We'll work on the rotation, but anyway. It does big damn. More damage than I needed against that particular guy. But there's the idea. There's the idea. We're going to keep practicing today. We're going to keep smacking bosses, blasting maps. Again, this switching out all the skills and stuff is probably overkill for map bosses, but I wanted to go over it. One, for you guys, and two, for me. I need to practice it because I think it will be effective against bosses. And I think that one thing for sure is that swapping out my weapon into this setup against bosses, but I'm using my same gear that I usually use, just swapping it into a bleed setup for single target or AoE setup for, you know, AoE. Makes sense to me. So, all right, let's keep gaming. We got a little bit of time to do so. It's kind of a long video, but we had a lot to talk about. Lots of gear updates, lots of talent changes, lots of skill swaps for bosses. And hopefully that helps get you guys started. And eventually, written guide coming soon, but we're still making a lot of changes. But I think we're kind of narrowing it down. We're narrowing it down a little bit. We'll keep it going for you. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure you show it some love and the thumbs ups and the comments, and come out hang out on stream as well. See you guys there. Peace.